The frontiers fall. The skies above Helios colony burned with an unnatural light. Dr. Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck of Research Station Alpha, her dark eyes fixed on the horizon, where three massive ships hung like obsidian daggers against the amber sunset. They had appeared without warning 3 days ago, geometric shapes of impossible blackness that defied the colony's scanners and ignored all attempts at communication. "They're moving again," said Marcus Chen, the station's security chief. His voice was steady, but Elena could see the tension in his shoulders. Heading for New Athens this time. New Athens was the colony's largest settlement, home to over 30,000 civilians, miners, farmers, scientists, and their families. People who had come to Helios seeking a fresh start on humanity's newest frontier world, 70 light years from Earth. "Have they responded to any of our messages?" Elena asked, already knowing the answer. Marcus shook his head. "Nothing. Governor Alvarez has ordered a full evacuation of the city, but," he paused, the words catching in his throat, "there's not enough time." On the horizon, a beam of sickly green light lanced down from the largest ship, striking the outskirts of New Athens. Even from 30 miles away, the impact was visible. A silent flash followed by a shockwave that rippled through the atmosphere. "That's the 5th strike today," Marcus whispered. "Our defense batteries can't even scratch their hulls." Elena turned away from the window, her mind racing. "We need to send another message to Earth. The quantum relay is down. They hit the communications center first. Then we use the backup relay at Outpost Zeta. It's small, but it should have enough power for one transmission." Marcus frowned. "That's in the mountains, almost 100 miles from here, with the main roads cut off." "I'll take the research crawler," Elena said firmly. "It's designed for rough terrain. If I leave now, I can reach the outpost by dawn. You'll be heading right past New Athens, if those things see you. If we don't get a message to Earth, none of us have a chance anyway." 6 hours later, Elena navigated the crawler through a narrow mountain pass, the vehicle's electric motors whining under the strain. Behind her, the night sky glowed orange from the fires consuming New Athens. She had skirted the city's western edge, keeping to the shadows of the forest as much as possible, but had still witnessed enough to haunt her dreams for years to come, if she lived that long. The alien ships, the void crawlers, as the colonists had begun to call them, had methodically sectioned the city, cutting off neighborhoods with precision strikes before landing smaller craft that disgorged nightmarish shapes. From a distance, they looked almost humanoid, but moved with an insectile fluidity that sent chills down Elena's spine. The crawler's radio crackled with fragmented transmissions, desperate pleas for help, tactical communications between militia units, family members searching for loved ones. Elena forced herself to listen, recording everything on the crawler's data system. Earth needed to know what they were facing. By dawn, she reached Outpost Zeta, a small research station nestled in the highlands of Helios' northern continent. The facility appeared untouched, its solar arrays gleaming in the morning light. Elena parked the crawler and rushed inside, praying the quantum relay was still operational. The outpost was deserted, its small staff likely having fled when the attacks began. Elena made her way to the communications center, breathing a sigh of relief when the systems came online at her touch. The quantum relay, a marvel of human engineering that could send instantaneous messages across vast distances of space, hummed to life. "This is Dr. Elena Reyes of Helios Colony," she began, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "We are under attack by an unknown alien force. 3 capital ships appeared in orbit 3 days ago and have begun systematic attacks on our settlements. New Athens has fallen. Coastal Haven and Meridian Outpost are under siege. Our defenses are ineffective against their technology." She paused, swallowing hard. "This is not merely an invasion. Based on observation of their tactics, I believe they intend to eradicate all human presence on Helios. They are methodical, precise, and show no interest in communication or resources. They appear to want only our extinction. Elena attached the data recordings from the crawler, including sensor readings of the alien ships and footage of the attacks. We need immediate military assistance. Helios colony has a population of 52,000 civilians with minimal defensive capabilities. We cannot hold out much longer. She hesitated, then added, "If help cannot reach us in time, let our fate serve as a warning. These beings may not stop with Helios." She sent the message, watching as the quantum relay confirmed transmission to Earth. Now all she could do was wait, and hope Earth's response would come before it was too late. For the next 12 days, Elena joined the fragmented resistance across Helios. Governor Alvarez had established a series of hidden camps in the northern mountains, gathering survivors and what little militia they had. The news was grim. New Athens was gone, its ruins crawling with the alien invaders who seemed to be establishing some kind of base. Coastal Haven had been evacuated just before it was hit, its population scattered across the wilderness. Meridian Outpost had gone silent 2 days ago. The void crawlers were expanding outward in a calculated pattern, hunting down human settlements with terrifying efficiency. They seemed to have no interest in Helios' abundant resources, the mineral-rich mountains, the fertile valleys, the vast oceans teeming with life. They targeted only human structures, human technology, human lives. On the 13th day after her transmission, Elena was helping set up a medical station in one of the mountain camps when Marcus Chen found her. "Elena," he said, breathless from his climb up the ridge. "Governor Alvarez needs you at the command post. We've received a transmission." Her heart leaped. "From Earth?" Marcus nodded, a flicker of hope in his eyes for the first time since the invasion began. The command post was little more than a collection of salvaged equipment in a cave mouth, shielded from orbital scans by the dense rock overhead. Governor Sofia Alvarez, a tall woman with steel-gray hair and the bearing of someone used to authority, stood over a communications terminal, her face illuminated by its soft blue light. "Dr. Reyes," she said as Elena entered, "your message reached Earth. Fleet Admiral Chen Wei of the Terran Defense Force sent this response 2 hours ago." She pressed a button, and a holographic image flickered to life, a stern-faced woman in a crisp military uniform adorned with the insignia of Earth's unified space fleet. "Governor Alvarez, Dr. Reyes, citizens of Helios," the Admiral began. "We received your distress call and have analyzed the data you provided. The Terran Defense Council has classified this as a Class 1 threat to human expansion and sovereignty." Elena felt her breath catch. Class 1, the highest possible threat level. I am currently en route to the Helios system with the 3rd Fleet. Our ETA is 48 hours. I realize this may feel like an eternity given your situation, but I assure you, we are pushing our engines beyond safety parameters to reach you as quickly as possible. The Admiral's expression hardened. "I must be frank. We have no prior intelligence on this hostile species. Their technology appears to exceed our current capabilities in several areas. However, the 3rd Fleet includes our newest class of Dreadnoughts, equipped with prototype weapons systems that may prove effective." She leaned closer to the camera. "Hold out for 48 hours. Hide. Survive. We are coming for you, and we are bringing the full might of humanity with us." The message ended, leaving the cave in silence. 48 hours, Governor Alvarez said softly. "Can we last that long?" Elena looked around at the haggard faces of the colony's leadership. The militia captain with his arm in a sling, the agricultural director who had watched her greenhouses burn, the communications officer who hadn't slept in days trying to maintain contact with the scattered survivors. "We have to," she said simply. The next 2 days were the longest of Elena's life. The void crawlers expanded their search grid, sending smaller scout ships to probe the mountains. Twice, the camp had to relocate on short notice, abandoning supplies and equipment they couldn't carry. The casualties mounted, not just from direct encounters with the aliens, but from exposure, illness, and injuries sustained during hasty retreats through treacherous terrain. 47 hours after Admiral Chenway's message, Alina stood with Governor Alvarez at the edge of their latest hiding place, a narrow valley shielded by towering pines. The night was clear, stars blazing overhead in Helios's thin, pristine atmosphere. Somewhere up there, the void crawlers continued their hunt, their obsidian ships blending with the darkness between the stars. "One more hour," Alvarez murmured, checking her watch for the 100th time. Alina nodded, too exhausted to speak. She had spent the day treating injuries with dwindling medical supplies, watching helplessly as a young mother died from an infection that could have been easily cured in a proper facility. A shout from the camp's perimeter shattered the quiet. Alina turned to see a militia scout running toward them, pointing frantically at the sky. "Ships," he gasped. "Hundreds of them." Alina's heart sank as she looked up. Had they been wrong about the void crawlers' numbers? Was this the final wave that would exterminate what remained of the colony? Then she saw it. A flash of light unlike the sickly green of the alien weapons. A brilliant blue pulse that rippled across the upper atmosphere, followed by another and another. "Those aren't void crawler ships," Governor Alvarez whispered, her voice rising with disbelief. "Those are ours." As if in confirmation, every working communicator in the camp crackled to life simultaneously, and Admiral Chenway's voice rang out, clear and commanding. "Citizens of Helios, this is Fleet Admiral Chenway of the Terran Defense Force 3rd Fleet. We have arrived in your system and engaged the hostile forces. I repeat, we have engaged the hostile forces. Stand by for further instructions. Help has arrived." Above them, the night sky came alive with flashes of light. Blue, red, white. As humanity's response to the void crawlers finally arrived, Earth had answered their call. Humanity unleashed. Fleet Admiral Chenway stood on the bridge of the TDF Indomitable, her hands clasped behind her back as she watched the holographic battle display. Around her, the bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, their voices calm despite the gravity of the situation. "Void crawler vessels are breaking orbit," reported Captain Olivia Santos, her tactical officer. "They're forming a defensive formation above the northern continent." We nodded. As expected, they're protecting their ground operations. She studied the alien ships, 3 capital vessels surrounded by a swarm of smaller craft. "Status of our fleet. All ships reporting ready, Admiral. Dreadnoughts Indomitable, Resolute, and Defiant have taken forward positions. Cruiser squadrons are in formation behind, and our destroyer wings are moving to flank." The 3rd Fleet, humanity's newest and most powerful battle group, had arrived in the Helios system with overwhelming force. 27 warships, including 3 Olympus-class dreadnoughts, each over a kilometer in length and bristling with weapons that represented the cutting edge of human military technology. It was humanity's answer to the growing threats they'd encountered as they expanded into the galaxy. The Terran Defense Force had been forged through bitter experience, through hard lessons learned on distant worlds where human colonists found themselves facing hostile species or natural dangers beyond their capacity to handle alone. We turned to the communication station. "Open a channel to the alien vessels." "Channel open, Admiral." "This is Fleet Admiral Chenway of the Terran Defense Force. You have attacked a sovereign human colony without provocation. Cease all hostile actions immediately and withdraw from this system, or we will respond with appropriate force." Silence answered her ultimatum. The holographic display showed no change in the alien formation. "No response on any frequency, Admiral," the communications officer reported after a moment. Wei had expected as much, but protocol demanded the attempt. "Very well. Deploy the Aegis barrier. All ships, weapons free. Priority targets are their capital vessels." The space between the human fleet and the void crawlers shimmered as the Aegis system activated, a network of overlapping energy fields generated by specially equipped ships within the fleet. It was designed to intercept and disperse energy weapons, buying precious seconds for counterattacks. It was just in time. The largest void crawler ship fired, a lance of green energy cutting across space toward the Indomitable. It struck the Aegis barrier, which flared brilliantly as it absorbed and redirected the energy. Barrier holding at 83%, reported the defensive systems officer. That was their main weapon, considerably more powerful than indicated in the colony's data. They've been holding back, Y murmured. Return fire. All dreadnoughts, Alpha strike pattern. The Indomitable shuddered as its main batteries discharge, railguns accelerating projectiles to relativistic speeds, energy weapons focusing destructive potential into coherent beams, missile launchers disgorging swarms of smart munitions that twisted and turned through space toward their targets. The Resolute and Defiant fired in sequence, their combined firepower creating a devastating wave that crashed against the Void Crawler formation. The alien ship's defenses flared, some kind of energy field similar to the Aegis barrier, but the sheer volume of the human attack overwhelmed them at multiple points. One of the smaller Void Crawler vessels erupted in a silent explosion, fragments spinning away into the void. A cheer went up from the bridge crew, quickly silenced by Wei's raised hand. "Maintain discipline," she said firmly. "This battle is far from over." Indeed, the Void Crawlers responded with surprising coordination. Their remaining ships altered formation, the two capital vessels positioning themselves to provide overlapping fields of fire, while the smaller craft surged forward in an aggressive counterattack. "Destroyer Squadron 2, intercept those escorts," Wei ordered. "Cruisers, maintain suppressing fire on the capital ships. I want their defenses strained to breaking point." The battle expanded across Helios orbit, a deadly dance of ships and weapons fire against the backdrop of the golden planet below. The human fleet had numbers and firepower, but the Void Crawlers possessed technology that allowed them to absorb punishment that would have shattered any human vessel of similar size. Hours passed, the tactical situation shifting moment by moment. The Third Fleet lost 3 ships, the destroyer Hammond, and the cruisers Jakarta and Sao Paulo, their crews evacuating to survival pods that were quickly retrieved by support vessels. 5 more suffered significant damage, but the Void Crawlers were being worn down, their formations breaking apart under the relentless human assault. "Admiral," Captain Santos called out, "we're detecting energy surges from the alien capital ships. They appear to be charging their main weapons for a concentrated strike." Wei studied the tactical display. "They're targeting the Resolute. All ships, reinforce the Aegis barrier in that sector. Resolute, prepare for impact and rotate your damaged port side away from the enemy line of fire." The Void Crawlers fired simultaneously, their green energy beams converging on a single point in the human defensive network. The Aegis barrier flared brilliantly, then collapsed under the strain. The residual energy struck the Resolute, carving deeply into its armored hull. Resolute reports heavy damage to decks 3 through 17. The communications officer announced. "Fire control teams responding. Weapon systems at 40% capacity." Wei's expression remained impassive, but her mind raced through options. The Void Crawlers had revealed a dangerous capability: the ability to coordinate their firepower to overwhelm the Aegis barrier at a specific point. If they repeated this tactic, they could potentially disable the human dreadnoughts one by one. "New targeting solution," she ordered. "All ships, focus fire on the lead capital vessel. Ignore the escorts. Indomitable, prepare to deploy the Helios Protocol." Her weapons officer looked up sharply. "Admiral, the Helios Protocol is still classified as experimental. We've never used it in actual combat." "Then this will be its field test, Commander. Prepare the system." The Helios Protocol was the most closely guarded secret of the Third Fleet, a weapons system developed based on theoretical physics that even most of the fleet's officers didn't fully understand. It had performed flawlessly in controlled tests, but its effects in a chaotic battle environment remained uncertain. As the human fleet redirected its fire against the lead Void Crawler vessel, the Indomitable broke formation, accelerating on a vector that would bring it within minimum safe distance for the new weapon. The alien ship's defenses blazed under the concentrated assault, weakening but still holding. Helios protocol at 97% charge, reported the weapons officer. Targeting solution locked. Wei took a deep breath. Fire. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a sphere of swirling golden energy formed at a point between the Indomitable and the Voidcrawler vessel. It expanded rapidly, engulfing the alien ship in a maelstrom of light that shifted through spectrums visible and invisible to the human eye. When the energy dissipated, the Voidcrawler ship remained, but changed. Its obsidian surface was now riddled with fractures that leaked internal atmosphere into space. Its weapons fell silent. Its defensive fields collapsed. It drifted, crippled, and vulnerable. The Helios protocol appears to have disrupted their molecular cohesion, the science officer reported, unable to keep the awe from her voice. Their hull is literally coming apart at the atomic level. Wei allowed herself a small smile. All ships resume conventional attack pattern on the damaged vessel. Let's finish it. The combined firepower of the human fleet tore into the weakened Voidcrawler ship. Without its defenses, it shattered under the assault, breaking apart in a spectacular chain of secondary explosions that briefly outshone Helios's star. The effect on the remaining Voidcrawlers was immediate and unexpected. Their formation dissolved, ships scattering in apparent disarray. "They're retreating," Captain Santos announced incredulously. "All remaining Voidcrawler vessels are accelerating away from Helios." "Pursuit course?" asked the navigation officer. Wei shook her head. "No. Our priority is securing the planet and protecting the colonists. Deploy ground forces to engage any remaining alien presence on the surface." She paused, watching as the Voidcrawler ships vanished into faster-than-light travel. "They'll be back, or others like them. But now they know. Humanity protects its own." The ground campaign lasted 3 more days as Marines and Army units from the Third Fleet systematically cleared the alien presence from Helios's surface. The Voidcrawlers fought fiercely, but without the coordination they had shown in space. Without support from their capital ships, they were formidable, but no longer invincible. Elena Reyes found herself working alongside military medical teams, treating injured colonists and occasionally soldiers as the liberation of Helios progressed. On the 4th day after the fleet's arrival, she was summoned to a field headquarters established in the ruins of New Athens. Admiral Chenwei was waiting, looking somewhat smaller in person than she had in her holographic message, but no less imposing. "Dr. Reyes," the Admiral said, extending her hand. "Your message saved this colony. If we hadn't received your data on the Voidcrawler's capabilities, we would have entered this system blind." Elena shook the offered hand. "I just did what anyone would have done." "No," Wei said firmly. "Not anyone would have driven through an active war zone to send that message. You showed the courage we'll need if humanity is to survive in this galaxy." She gestured to a holographic display showing the reconstruction plans for New Athens. "We're deploying a permanent TDF presence here, a garrison and orbital defense system that will ensure Helios never faces such a threat alone again. But more importantly, we're establishing an early warning network throughout this sector of space. You think the Voidcrawlers will return? Perhaps, or perhaps there are worse things waiting out there." Wei's expression was grave. "We've discovered that the Voidcrawlers, or the Next Vor as they call themselves in the data we recovered from their ships, have encountered other species before. Species they exterminated completely. They believed humans would be the same, isolated, defenseless colonists who could be eliminated before their homeworld even knew what had happened." She smiled thinly. "They miscalculated. Humanity does not abandon its own." 6 months later, Elena stood on the observation deck of the newly rebuilt research station Alpha. Below, New Athens was rising from the ashes, new buildings gleaming in the amber light of Helios's setting sun. Above, the orbital defense station hung like a watchful guardian, its presence a constant reminder that Earth had not forgotten its most distant children. The experience had changed Helios, and changed humanity's view of its place in the galaxy. The Next Vor had retreated, but the shadows between the stars now seemed darker, more threatening. Yet Elena found hope in what had followed. Ships arrived daily from Earth and other colonies, not just military vessels, but transports carrying settlers, engineers, scientists, people who had heard what happened on Helios and chose to come anyway, to rebuild and strengthen humanity's presence. They came because they knew now what the next war had learned too late. Humanity stood together, across the vast distances of space. When the call went out, Earth's dreadnoughts would fill the sky, bringing with them the indomitable spirit of a species that refused to abandon its own to the darkness. The frontier might be dangerous, but it was still humanity's frontier, and they would defend it together.